Friends, I don't know how many times I have gotten a request to do this prompt, but when a shoujo sparkler recently asked about it, I was like, it's time. But y'all, I felt I'm doing this prompt a little bit late because one of the picks I wanted to do, I can't actually feature today. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. This is going to be a very fun prompt. I had so much fun thinking, visualizing what manga would I love to see as an anime, get an anime adaptation. And while I admit, and I have confessed before, that I do struggle keeping up with anime because I'm very much a manga reader and just prefer to read things, still, there are certain series that I'm like, I would love to see this in anime form because I know I would watch it. And even if maybe I don't say stick with it because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stick with the manga, that I really feel like could get other people on board excited for that said series. So let's go ahead and jump into my picks. Though wait, pause. The one I wanted to say, and I mentioned it in my manga news video, is I have been like brainstorming for this prompt and I knew I wanted to do Though I Am an Inept Villainess. I knew I wanted to do that. I was like, yeah, after I read it, I'm like, this would be a perfect anime, and I do have a manga review coming this Friday. I might have even said in that video, I filmed it several weeks ago, saying that I would love to see it get an anime adaptation, and that time is here. It got announced this past Monday and I'm so excited. It looks fantastic. I'm just like, man, that was like one I really wanted to mention, but I'm thrilled that basically it's been checked off my list here of manga I want to see in anime form. But this one, for number one, it deserves an anime. I mean, all of these I feel like deserve an anime, but I really feel like for this one especially, there are many of us who have said this would be a perfect anime, and that is Queen's Quality. If you're looking for a shoujo that has romance, but you want that action on par with Yona of the Dawn, maybe even more so in this series, though I do feel like with later volumes with Yona that they are like equal ground. Queen's Quality is it. Like, this series is so fantastic. I do have a video review thanks to you guys voting for it in my read and review shoujo spree. Strongly agree with other people. It needs a really good adaptation. There's so many battle scenes, there's so many fight scenes. I mean, it's not your typical shoujo romance that I feel like we're seeing a lot of like an anime, and I guess I say typical not for the story itself, but you know, typically we do get shoujo romance. That is what we're getting. We're getting a romance anime, and this series has romance, but it is not the focus. So I love Fumi and Kyutaro. They're an amazing couple, but I just feel like this would be not only a really action-based kind of series on screen, but the emphasis and the focus on mental health is so powerful. Like, yes, there are plenty of dark moments in this manga, and there are times, and there was actually a time going, let's say, volume 14, 15, 16, where I almost did drop this manga. It was so dark and so bleak for these characters that I had no idea of how there could be any kind of hopeful ending for them at all. But I'm glad I kept reading, because I think it was volume 16 or volume 17. That was the volume that I'm like, I should have just trusted Sensei because it had hope, and hope was the center of it. It might have looked very, very tiny, so tiny I couldn't even see it, but it was still there. So I feel like this series would definitely have some dark moments. It has giant bugs, so that could also be sort of a trigger warning there. But I feel overall, I really feel like not just the shoujo community would love this, but I feel like for any demographic, especially if you're used to, say, watching a lot of shonen action, and that is what you naturally tend to watch. This is one I feel like would be a great crossover for that kind of viewer where they're like, I just want action, don't mind the romance, but give me that. Boom, Queen's Quality has it. And I would highly recommend the manga. And with this series officially being completed, I'm like, please, someone give us an anime of this. I mean, even if it was just one season, that would stink just to have one season only, but to have one season would be incredible. And hopefully, eventually, it will get an anime adaptation, and that when or if it does, that the studio does it justice, because you got to do those scenes good and great and hook everybody to come read the manga. For number two, it's my only male on this list, and listen, I hope that people get this meme or this joke. If you don't, I'm gonna leave it up in the corner so you can see it. Though will warn, it does have one language bomb at the end. I've actually never seen the end of this video, but have you ever seen the TikTok that went viral of the three guys and they're talking about cheeses? They're like, name 3 cheeses, or what's the best top 3 cheeses? And the dude's like Parmesan, mozzarella, and like one other one. And they're like, oh yeah, those are good. And the guy's like Colby Jack, and the dude's like, Colby Jack! And like in the back, if you don't know it, just don't mind me, but watch that little clip of video on YouTube because picture that. And when I think about this manhwa, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, hello, yes, that would be perfect. And that is my secretly hot husband. I love this manhwa so much. I'm double dipping on it. I don't have a review, but it did win for the year of favorite reads of 2023. I adore this series so much, and reading it physically has been everything. I think this would do very, very well as an anime because it is an isekai of sorts. Our main girl here is a transmigrator. She has memories of her life when she was in Korea. And what makes this very unique, the romance, so wholesome. Erden, we love them. We ship them very strongly here. They're amazing. But what makes it unique is for what would be an isekai anime, I guess you would say, is that our main girl, there are things that she, hold on, wait, I gotta rephrase that. There are things that she can get from Korea in this fantasy world. And it happens very early in the beginning, like chapter 1, we're already seeing her use a really interesting object that came from Korea. And even she's like, this makes no sense. How is this here? What is going on? And it's not just that moment though, but throughout the whole series. So I feel like that isekai is always going to be there. I know a lot of people are like, I hate isekai, it's oversaturated. But yeah, we still get isekai anime that come very often. There's always that one or two that we get. And I feel like if I had to choose just one isekai, though from far away, for manga would be number 1. But I feel like the chances of that are very slim. So I went with something a little bit more modern. I don't want to use the term modern, but something that it's only been out for just a few years, if that. And so, because in the year 2023, it ended. So it technically, if you want to say from completion, it's a little over a year old. But yeah, I was thinking of maybe if animation studios are looking at series that have just recently ended and they're trying to put it back on people's radars, or they feel like it would do really well. My Sincerely Hot Husband, I think, would do perfect. I mean, it's got an awesome dragon, lots of action in this one. You have a girl, a female lead who can kick butt, and you have a male lead who totally simps for his woman, okay? And you don't have to worry about there being any, like, maybe a little bit of miscommunication. This is an arranged marriage, so that's already been established very early on, and it's not, I'd say it's not rushed, because there is some time things that happen, and Erden just needs to stop suggesting, well, like, you know, since I'm a monster, do better off without me, and so we'll just get a divorce. But our main girl's like, no, I don't want to get a divorce. You're very hot, though there's things that she loves about him, not just his face, okay? She is not that shallow. And also, there is a pyramid scheme that happens later on. Honestly, I feel like, while I would love to see this in anime, like, get extended for like 2 seasons, I truly think you'd have to cut some things, but you could make 1 season for the entire 3 volumes. It's only a 3-volume series. And I'm like, somebody could do that. And it would just be so engaging, especially when you get to near the end and there are some different plots that come up, or different subplots, I should say. They all get wrapped up so nicely, and there's so much mystery though, because you really don't understand, why did Erden get cursed? Why are they able to get these items from Korea? A whole bunch of other smaller things. I feel like it's not just a romance. I should pause and say, maybe you're like, Laura, why do you keep saying it's not just a romance? I have to be honest with you, friends. I love romantic manga, but I do not typically watch romance anime. I feel like a fake fan saying that, but I've been that way my whole life, where I don't typically watch romantic movies, romantic shows. I'm here for the action. So most of my things, I think, all have some kind of action, because I know that's what's most interesting to me when it comes to watching something. You've got to hook me with action. You don't got no action, I'm probably not gonna stay. And I know that sounds really bad, but that's just how I am as a movie watcher. But with reading, give me the romance. I can read things that aren't romantic focused, but I definitely strongly lean to that is what I'm wanting. So when I say it's not just a romance, that for me personally is a selling point, because you're telling me, oh, there's the romance, yes, but there's lots of action. And I definitely feel that this series has a lot of cool, big brain, smart thinking things that I absolutely adore. So I feel like this would just be so good and hopefully well received for an isekai series, and would be offering something more original than maybe what a lot of people feel we already have. For number 3, I do mention the action. There's not a lot of action in this series, but I will be honest, for this pick, it is mainly because I want more people to read it and it be on people's radars, because I feel like it's so underhyped and it really bothers me, okay? And that is The Eccentric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom. I've heard people say and compare this series to The Apothecary Diaries, and they're like, it just doesn't live up to that. And it really bothers me because I'm more of a fan of this series than I am the Apothecary Diaries, and that's not to bash it, just how I personally feel. And of course, that person has a right to their opinion and can think Apothecary Diaries is better. But I'm sort of like, if you like that, and we also have Though I Am an Inept Villainess, and you want those political shenanigans of like the inner palace and everything, then please, this series deserves an anime. Kyoyo is our muscle queen. She is obsessed with muscles, and she literally makes life-changing decisions to go on a quest to find these muscles. And she is a doctor, and she can be very unhinged as a doctor in the sense she gets these looks. They're very intense and they're very scary, and you really just don't know how to feel. But I love this series so much. This is definitely one of, I just want more people to love this series just as much as I do, and people just enjoy it. Like, that is why I want it to have an anime adaptation. Again, having series that are getting anime like the Apothecary Diaries and Though I Am an Inept Villainess, this series has many similarities. It's unique on its own, but I really feel like if you enjoy those series, strong chances are you're going to enjoy this one, especially if you want some humor. I know Though I Am an Inept Villainess has humor, and Apothecary Diaries does, but the muscle humor here and Kyoyo's love for them is just on a different level here. I really love it. Though Reiren, nobody can beat our potato queen though. Nobody can beat her on that. Honestly, all three of these ladies, these female leads of these series, they would be besties in real life. They would be besties. So if you think each girl is cool, I really feel like you would like Kyoyo. And again, that's why I want to see her in anime form. Even if I don't keep up with it, I'm like, somebody out there is going to watch it. They're going to love the anime, and they're going to go get the manga, and they're going to love it even more. And I'm like, yes, that is what I want to see. That is why I want this to get an anime adaptation, hopefully at some point. For number 4, we'll go back to the action-like series, and this one, Victoria of Many Faces. I'm going to say the manga. I know it does have a light novel also available from Yen Press. I think I just read volume 1 this month. Last month? I'm pretty sure it was this month. This was wonderful, and it does have the action, but the found families of this really stand out to me, and I feel like that's just a trope that everybody, hopefully everybody loves. There's something very powerful about seeing it. I mean, you could talk to many anime watchers, whether they're just anime only or they read manga, and they will often mention that found family in a variety of anime really stand out to them and touch their heart, and how it's something they really love. And so I feel like this is another one that would be really good if you're looking for that kind of trope. And it's very interesting in itself because it does have some action, but it's a little bit more on the low-key side as of right now. I think that's going to increase as it goes on, but it's about our main girl here who was a spy for this country, and now she's like gone undercover in this sense of she doesn't want to be a spy anymore. So she gave herself a new identity. She lives in a different place, and she's thinking, I will have my freedom. Little did she know though that she's going to meet this young girl that's sitting on a park bench with her parents who seem to have abandoned her, and Victoria here takes her in, and so begins their life of this person who was a spy, who is still being sought after by the organization that hired her as a spy, but also this young woman who's just trying to live out her life as a new mom basically and be here for this young girl, and using some of her spy abilities to give her a little bit of a leveling up. Again, there wasn't much action per se, but this story is one that I feel like would do really translate really well on screen. I mean, if it's sort of on a very much lower side or like smaller end, however you want to say it, I think if you would like Spy Family, you would probably like this. Doesn't have all the shenanigans with Anya and everything, doesn't have all of that, okay? The spy stuff is definitely different, though that is a similarity, but the found family vibe, hardcore, is the same. And there is a blooming romance, I'm sure. I've heard it's a very slow burn, but very satisfying. And it does have another character just like Erden, who totally, I wouldn't say simp for his wife because they ain't married in this, but who really does love seeing the independence of our female leads and letting them do them and be like, okay, you don't need me to protect you right now because you got it. Okay, I'm here on the sidelines, and if you need me, I will be there in a heartbeat. And if anybody touches them, they will be there even faster than a heartbeat. So don't get on their bad sides. But I did really like, I'm trying to think of like one of the action scenes where she was kicking butt, and I feel like we just didn't quite see that. I did really love though how she's teaching this little girl to climb trees, and she is teaching her some martial arts. So she does have that action background. It's just we don't see it yet in this first manga volume. I can't say if that's the same for the light novel, but I'm really excited decide personally to continue this. And I just feel like because I know when I watched Spy Family, I really enjoyed it, and having similar vibes here, I could see myself continuing via the anime, not just manga, though obviously for sure manga. I've already pre-ordered volume 2, but I feel like I could stick with it because it just has so many wonderful, wholesome vibes that would just be so much fun to see on the big screen, so to speak. For number 5, this one definitely has lots of action, and I really feel like because I just read volume 2 that it's definitely influencing my pick here, and that's always a catch, How I Punched My Way into Marrying a Prince. Oh, I'm really excited for, oh my goodness, May I Ask One Final Thing, which is a villainous manga slash anime. And I'm really excited because everybody says, I know that has read it, that it's not a romantic story and that the villainess goes and she beats people up. And forgive me guys, I like seeing that with my villainesses or characters I really love. And this is the same way with Mimi here. Mimi is a young woman who has been raised more or less as a boy, and she has all of these fighting skills, and then her father has a son because there was no heir after her, at least originally, and then surprise, they have a boy and now he is the heir and not Mimi. But Mimi has no romance experience, and she's like trying to woo a husband, woo a man, and she is not accomplishing it at all until she meets this prince here, and she basically accuses him. He needs to go get his eyes checked because he's accusing her at her debut with her cousin in another country, because she's like, let's get a fresh start in another place where nobody knows me. And he's like, I break this engagement. She's like, what engagement? You're trying to break up with my cousin. Why are you talking to me? Get your eyes checked. And it was a crazy first impression that he left, but he can't stop thinking about her, and she is so funny and does these outlandish expressions to make him laugh, and it begins their romance. While I loved volume 1, I thought it was a blast, really enjoyed it. Volume 2 really amps up the antics, and I just love how when she's not itching to fight, okay, she's not necessarily doing that, but her brothers are these huge beefy dudes when they go to pick her up because she's going to visit home. She's like, please just let me in on the action of beating these people up if they need to be beaten up, and I love it. And the action scenes are really good in the manga. You can feel, I feel like almost like the air rush by you just looking at the panel because of how well it gives that sense movement. It's awesome. I love it. And I think this would just be a blast to watch, mainly because you're seeing Mimi, who has all of these awesome fighting skills and can beat people up, but yet she's trying to be more ladylike and graceful, and she's struggling a little bit, but honestly, that's why her man loves her. He loves her just how she is. He doesn't want her to change, so you're not going to find a story where he's like, you know, now that you're engaged to me or you're going to be my fiance, you need to act like a lady and not do all of that. Like, no, he loves that about her. There's some other things that happen in volume 2, but I don't want to give spoilers about those. But I love the direction of the story, and this would just be a fun, action-filled series that I'm here for. I feel like it has a little bit of everything that would be right up my alley, and I would highly recommend the manga. And I do have a first impression if you're curious about hearing more thoughts specifically on this first volume alone. But yeah, this would do amazing as an anime. It would be, from what I've read, I really feel like it'd be a very feel-good and fun kind of story that just like at the end of the day where you're like, I don't want to think it's been a rough day. I need something to just recharge. These characters have your back. It would, man, it would be a blast. I know I would love it because I love when anime make you feel good and it's just a happy watch, and you feel better when you go off to do something after you've watched 25 minutes of the anime. Like, I personally love that. I know some people are like on like other things that are not as feel good or fluffy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I admire those kind of people because I'm typically not the same way when it comes to that. But yeah, this would be so much fun. And honestly, I feel like almost all of these would be really fun. When it comes to Queen's quality, it would be more on the, it has humor, but I definitely feel like it'd be on the darker side a little bit, but so inspiring. And just all of these series, like, can I please have these in anime form? I would love to see them all. And again, with Eccentric Doctor, I want to see more people become fans of this series and love it just as much as I do. But I would love to hear from you, friends. What are some manga you would love to, or manhwa that you would love to see get turned into an anime? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!